Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast, unofficially the official podcast of Denver Comic Con 2014 and beyond. I am Ryan, the most excellent host of all time.
Whoa, now.
And with me always is
James.
And Brad is blacker and cooler today. Say hi to everybody.
What's up?
And if you're wondering why Brad sounds way more sexy, because it's actually Bree. Bree, welcome back, buddy. How's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me back, man. Hey, why doesn't anybody else come? You know, you guys' show is so great, and I'm like the only, you know, I'm the only craze fan that always hooks up with you guys.
I think it's the touching. I think the touching scares people off.
You know, it is funny because we do go. People see movies with us,
Right.
And like, hey, come on the show. And some people are afraid to be on the show.
Yeah. After I listened to myself on the show, though, I was like, man, I didn't sound as good as I wanted to, but, you know, I'm always like, man, I could have, you know, I didn't sound as witty as I wanted to be that time.
I think that happens with a lot of people. I think my voice, when I'm on the show, sounds way different than my actual voice when I talk, but I probably don't. I just have this grandiose version of myself. I don't know.
I think jokey you on the show is... It, you know, like when Cora first met you and like thought that you were a jerk in real life and was really pleased to find out you were actually a nice guy. I think it's just that, like you give off this arrogance on the show that I think it doesn't, like not everybody picks it up.
I know.
Realizes
I think it's funny because
joking.
you know she's not the only one who said I was an asshole.
Yeah.
I've been told that I sound like an asshole on the show. Aaron's boyfriend Dan said I sounded intimidating.
Yeah. He was like afraid to meet you.
You didn't. I didn't think you sounded like an asshole, but initially when I first met you guys, I thought James was you, and you know the alternate personalities,
Sure.
like face off. You know?
What you're saying is I look more arrogant.
Yeah.
When people see me, they go, "Look at this motherfucker going by."
That beard
he
is
thinks
arrogant.
so much of himself.
He grows a beard. He
He's
must be arrogant.
What a dick bag.
Totally a dick bag.
Yeah, you know, bag of dicks.
Wow, you're crass, James.
Sorry. Hey, my mom doesn't listen to this.
Hey man,
I know. Obviously, James' mom says I'm really crass, and I listen to the shows. I say, you know what? I don't think I cuss as much as James.
I cuss more, but you say dirty things.
Yeah, but still, you say worse things. You say like the fuck word.
But the fuck word's not that bad.
When I say fuck, it's PHUCK, so it's not the curse word.
Oh, it's cool. It's the cool word.
It's a cool way.
it's basically like, you know, like Eddie Haskell. You know, you don't, you know, you're friends with them, but you know, and hey, this is G, and you know, and then they hear you on the podcast, and they're like,
Eddie Haskell, that's awesome.
Brad posted that article about movies he wanted to see at the Alamo, and in the post on Facebook, he said something about like Alamo having bigger balls and showing some of these movies.
Right.
And when my mom read it, all I heard was first I heard her yell, "The Alamo is showing Batteries Not Included," and I was like, "Are you reading that article?" Because no, they're not. That article is about things we'd like to see there. And she was like, "Oh," and then she goes, "Bigger balls, really?" And I was like, "That's the thing. Like, that's where the bar is for her. Like, that
Is balls?
Bigger balls is enough to be like, you said that on the internet?" And I was like, all right.
So your mom prefers small balls?
Oh, God damn it. See? This is why she thinks you're crass.
You set that up, sir. I didn't set that up.
You're right. I did.
let's hope none of our moms will listen to the show.
Are we? Yeah.
I cross my fingers every day.
Man.
If my mom found out the episode where I talk about being mounted by a horse, my mom would disown me.
I really don't look forward to like my mom seeing some of the webisodes.
There's really one that I don't want my mom to see.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one, the dildo's blurred out.
It's just the dildo that's really gonna, like, when she sees it, she's just gonna be like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah,
you know.
I think because the dildo's gonna be blurred out. I think it's gonna be the bruise that you drew on my face that's really gonna.
I have not seen this video.
Oh no,
it's not out yet.
It's not.
It's
out
coming.
Yet. It's coming really soon.
That's a Christmas teaser.
Oh,
That's a Christmas teaser.
All right.
Yeah.
We won't tell you who's in it, but there is a famous actor in it. Jonathan Tiersten is in our fifth episode of. You met Jonathan, right?
Yeah, I met him at the last horror.
Horror Fest. He's a cool guy.
And then I actually went back and started watching. Was it the summer
Sleepaway Camp?
Sleepaway Camp, and I was rooting for him because I was just like, yeah, he's punishing these dudes that are trying to molest children and stuff. So
yeah, he's really good in it, and he was really cool. Can we talk about? I guess we should wait till the episode's out. About what we did with Jonathan,
cool.
but do know that Jonathan Tiersten makes an appearance in episode 5 of
and
Real Nerds Pod
pretty
Show.
great. It's pretty great.
Which will debut January 28th at Open Screen Night.
Cool.
Brad's on the board there, so our episode better get on to that.
Yeah.
Before I get started, I'm going to also mention that Anime Land Wasabi is taking place February 20... Gosh darn it, I'm so bad at this sometimes. I believe it's 28th through March 2nd.
Cool.
At the Crown Plaza Hotel in downtown Denver. Well, it's on the outskirts of downtown Denver, but it's the DIA one, because it's like in between Denver and DIA. It's a really cool hotel. Their convention center's big. Bree, you were there. That's where the Rocky Mountain Con was.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a big space there.
Yeah, the Anime Land Wasabi is, I was right, February 28th through March 2nd.
So you're good at this.
See, I
you
am.
just don't have the confidence. You got to bring some more arrogance into everything you do, like I do.
Every once in a while.
Swagger.
I mentioned them last week, and we're actually kind of teaming up with them. We're still kind of getting all the Tetris pieces in place.
Yeah.
See how many lines we can clear. Hopefully 5. And hey, how about that nerd reference, guys? But I can tell you right now that it's a really cool thing. I was really thinking that it was just straight anime, from Japan and things like that. But actually, I told people last week that John DiMaggio will be there. And if you don't know who that is, he's Bender on Futurama. He's in tons of things. He voiced the Joker in Return of the Joker.
Yeah.
So
he's also like Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War games.
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
And also Jeremy Shada, who is Finn on Adventure Time, is the other guest of honor. So it's basically all animation. So I'm really excited because I'll talk about what we've been watching this week, and I started watching some more cartoons. So you can go onto animelandwasabi.com, buy tickets. If you hurry up and get them, you can get special rates on the hotel there.
Cool.
So you can stay the weekend, and I know the convention hall's big. It's way bigger when we went there than the last time. So hopefully we can get a booth there. If not, I told the people that are organizing it, we'll definitely help them pimp it out. If you have any other questions, log on to animelandwasabi.com. Yeah. And, you can check it out. If you're in a local Denver Ace area hardware store, make sure you pick up some Birdman barbecue sauce and also dry rub. It's the sauce, baby. It's really good. My favorite, they have 2 versions. They have original and spicy. I get spicy. But it does have a kick to it, so you got to have big balls to eat the spicy barbecue.
We got to try it.
And if you're in the neighborhood of Arvada, Colorado, and you want to go to a great comic store, Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics, 6700 Wadsworth Boulevard. It's on the left-hand side. If you're coming north. If you're going south, it'll be on the right-hand side. West side, guys. West side. And if you're wondering, hey, quit pimping stuff. Tell us what your stupid podcast is about. Our podcast is every week we go see a new movie. This week we went and saw The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. And so stay tuned. At the end of the show, we're going to review that. We will spoil the episode. We will spoil the movie for you. So we will say if you should go see the movie or not. We'll play the trailer. And then we'll spoil it. Also, what we've been doing lately that I think is kind of cool is we've been inserting scenes from the movies into our podcast, so you can also get an idea of the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
We sift through, because we're media, the promotional stuff we're given from certain movie companies, and this week it's obviously Warner Brothers.
Oh, cool.
And me and James picked this certain clip that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
And we also have comic books. James has a comic book for us this week.
I do.
We'll also talk about things we've been watching, box office numbers, Blu-rays that are coming out, movie news. But I like to start every episode with fan mail.
Fan mail!
You know what I love? When someone I haven't heard from in a long time emails us.
Yeah.
And
man, I was afraid Dan had just fallen off the edge of the world.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Got sucked into that
he'd
past
be like,
where
you
he
guys
had
are horrible.
sex with some woman, and then a robot killed him.
And he'll be like, you guys are horrible. I'm never going to talk to you guys again.
Yeah, or that one.
Yeah. But anyways,
I like the time travel one.
He went ahead and because lately we've been having a discussion on our show. I don't know if you listened to the last couple ones, Bree, but Brad watched Terminator 3.
Right.
And me and James have been saying that Terminator 3 isn't that bad of a movie.
Yeah.
And Brad has a lot of issues with it. So Dan wrote in about feedback for Terminator 3.
Cool.
He says, greetings. Your discussion on Terminator 3 was rather interesting, and it is a much maligned film. I feel inclined to defend it. All right. Hey, Dan, I love when you take my side. First, as much as I like T2, it's an overly praised film that has its share of issues. In fact, if one were inclined to nitpick, T2 probably has just as many continuity errors as T3 has.
Oh.
I agree. One thing that I appreciate about T3 is it's how no holds barred it is. Everything comes into play during the Terminator battles, and the film has a good sense of humor about itself. But for me, all the flaws are forgiven due to the incredible ending reveal, which is brilliantly executed, offering an ingenious explanation as to why John Connor is so important. I agree.
Yeah.
When I watched this movie and they revealed that no matter what happens, Skynet is going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. You go through this whole thing, and T2 was, they're going to prevent it, and they did everything they could, but it's inevitable. It's a great kind of shock ending, and it's kind of a sad ending because then you realize that humanity is doomed in this.
Yeah, but it's also like the execution of the original idea of Terminator. Like I really feel like T2 has always bugged me because it flies in the face of the premise of that first movie, which is that like it's this circular history thing where the time travel itself creates its own future, and I think that's really cool. So if we live in a world where John Connor has ever been born, then we have to live in a world where Skynet happens.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Like it's just...
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting place to take that story. If it's just spinning your wheels of like, and another machine comes back to try to kill John Connor before the end of the world, like it just... it loses something.
It is a bummer Brad isn't here to talk about it.
Yeah.
But he's not, so fuck him. I still think saying that I think Terminator 2 is a really cool movie.
Oh,
I think it's really well done. But Dan goes on to say that Terminator 3 is a weaker film than the first two, but it's a thoroughly entertaining action thriller. I agree. And given the corner that the series was backed into, T3 found a good way to not only continue the saga, but integrate modern technology into Cameron's passé 80s vision of computers and AI. Regards, Dan. Dan, thanks for writing again.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
It's funny. I just yesterday I was actually thinking about this because I was sort of going through my Blu-ray collection has grown quite a bit with Black Friday and all that. So I have limited shelf space. So what I do is when I get more Blu-rays, I comb through my DVDs for movies that I really don't need on DVD anymore and put them in a stack that I then take to Tradesmart and trade in for Blu-rays. And I realize that I have T2 on Blu-ray, and I have T3 on DVD, and I think I'm going to give it to Tradesmart and trade it in for something else.
Right.
And I think, as much as I have defended T3, the fact that I have Terminator 2 on Blu-ray because it's gorgeous and awesome, and Terminator 3 on DVD, and I might just go ahead and get rid of it, goes ahead and says something definitive about, like, okay, I still understand that movie is better. Right. But...
You can get. I think you get the Blu-ray for T3 for probably $5.
Okay. Yeah.
I think at Target it's $5 right now. I think it's in their $5 little section they have.
I mean, that would defeat my spiel there about how that movie is still not as good as T2, but still, you get my point.
Yeah.
It's like,
you guys are making me want to watch that movie because when it initially came out, I really slept on it. I think I watched a little bit of it and just got distracted and went off doing something else. So, hearing this stuff about that movie makes me want to watch it again.
It's interesting. I think it's a movie where, and Brad's right, there's silly stuff in there and, just like little dumb things on the surface. But it's a movie where if you see past all of that, the sort of bones of that movie are wicked smart and really could have been something cool. And yes, that surface stuff does kind of keep it from being as great as a Terminator 2.
Right.
But it would be a shame to completely dismiss that movie because of that.
Agreed. Thanks, Dan, for writing in. We appreciate it. And now, because Brad hates it when I do things exactly the same every time.
Let's do what we've been watching.
Yeah. Fuck it.
We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. So this is what we've been watching this week.
So, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Bree, you're the guest. What you been watching this week?
Oh man, I've been basically I checked out a bunch of books from the DVDs and stuff from the Denver Library. So I got that movie Emperor with
with Fox
and Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Okay.
Yeah.
Haven't checked that out yet, but
that's a good
it's in
one.
my stack. Ended up watching Evil Dead with my mom and her boyfriend.
The 2013 one?
The newest
new
one.
one.
So I ended up watching that.
How'd your mom handle that?
My mom, well, I'm like most moms. I don't even know if they watch movies, but I basically, what
so funny because I agree.
Well, basically what happened was, I'm there and I'm sitting there with my mom and her boyfriend, and she's commenting on the movie, and then she's like, "Well, is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen?" I'm like, "Mom, are you even watching the movie?" And I get up and walk. I walk out of the room and I come back, but she got through a large portion of it. I mean, and because she also watched Piranha 3D, and she watched all that. So she used to be really squeamish about a lot of these movies, but I think her tolerance is a little bit up, but. I'm always just like, amazed by people that ask questions while a movie's going on.
Yeah, my mother-in-law is like that. She'll always say, "Who's that guy? What's he doing there?"
Ever since Moneyball, where that was so bad, I have made a point of like bringing that up to my parents and really like almost being mean about it.
Yeah.
Like where if they'll do that stuff while we're at home in our living room,
right?
If they'll do that stuff, I'll shut them down and be like, hey, just because it's out of love. I'm looking out for them. Right. I don't want them to, they're not super old yet, but I don't want them to be those old people.
Right.
I don't want them
totally
to
oblivious.
Like 5 or 10 years from now to be in theaters going like, who's that guy? He's new to the movie.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it.
But it is a pleasure though watching movies with your parents. I remember, watching movies with my dad, and he would do he would do like these reenactments afterwards. Like I watched Hellraiser with my dad, and he was like, "Man, if that happened to me, I'd be hiding under all the dead bodies in the theater." And, but it's just. It's fun, even though your parents make and ask these questions. Though it's fun to have that interaction. I try to like all the newer movies now. I try to like. I just took my grandfather Pacific Rim. I checked out.
Nice.
I checked. What was crazy about the library is that the library had a Blu-ray copy of Pacific Rim and it had a DVD copy. So my grandfather doesn't have a Blu-ray copy player, so I took him the DVD and then I took the Blu-ray home. So it's just great to be able to share the experience of great movies. We just saw The Hobbit, but that's something I want to experience with my family. But but when you're dealing with the parents, a lot of times they fall asleep in movies. So
me and James went and saw To Kill a Mockingbird with his mom, and I had no idea his mom had never seen it. It was a cool experience because it's such a great movie, and there's so many great scenes in it that
and just to see it.
A reaction for someone new and fresh.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
The only uncomfortable part though is like when sex scenes come up, in movies.
Yeah.
I mean like I watched Haunted House with my mom. That's that comedy. It makes me paranormal activity
A Haunted
stuff.
House, yeah.
And when it went in all to that sex scenes, it's like, let me go get a drink of water right now, or let me walk out of the room. But but my mom was cracking up at some of that stuff.
Very cool.
Yep. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what else I've been watching a lot of stuff. Still messing around with the Roku. Still, older horror movies and trailers. The trailers on the Roku are just crazy because they have a station on there called Zombie TV.
Yeah.
And some of those old trailers to me are just like it's basically softcore porn.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I'm just like.
Really exploitive.
Yeah, really exploitation films. But I'm like, where do I get these movies from? I want to see like each and every one of these movies.
It's so funny because when you see those trailers, you're like, I want to see those movies. And then when you watch the movie, I'm saying, man, that trailer sold me on a different movie.
yeah.
Because you got to get through all this shit to get to the good parts. But yeah, they don't make trailers like that anymore. Where if you go see a horror movie, it doesn't say later on tonight these girls are gonna be terrorized by blah, 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 and only they have their wits to save them, or something like that. They don't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think of what else something else I watched in its entirety, but it's slipping my mind right now. But by the time you guys get on, I'll remember.
Cool. No worries. Cool. So I watched a few things this week. I rewatched The Last Stand with Schwarzenegger. One of the things I love about TradeSmart is I can get movies that I kind of enjoyed and get them for $1 if I buy another movie.
Yeah.
And, rewatching The Last Stand, it was way better than I remember it.
Really?
Yeah, I had lots of fun watching it. I mean, the villain in it's still kind of dumb.
I don't even remember the villain. I had fun with that movie.
Yeah.
But I don't
remember. He was
it's so forgettable.
He was that Mexican cartel guy who was driving the really fast Corvette.
Yeah. Well, I remember that from the trailer.
But he was really boring. I mean, there's nothing really.
Oh, he's got the lady in his car the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really boring.
Nothing.
You only watch that movie for Johnny Knoxville and Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But there's some really cool action scenes in it.
And Jamie Alexander.
Yeah.
Because she's badass.
She is. But my favorite scene in it is they're having the shootout in this town from these drug cartel guys, and Schwarzenegger is trying to get to this guy on the roof because he has Jamie Alexander pinned down, and he sneaks up behind him and runs, and he tackles him, and he's jumping off the building, and he shoots the dude in the head as they're falling down.
Yeah.
It's so badass.
Are you gonna rewatch Texas Chainsaw before the film Explosion? Just to
fuck no.
The original Texas Chainsaw, or
no, the one. It was the movie we started this year with.
You're talking about the one where he was like down in the basement.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I hated that movie.
Alexander Daddario.
I'll tell you a funny story,
okay.
Bree. When we went and saw it, because sometimes when we see these horror movies at the beginning of the year, we have fun with them.
Yeah.
And we got there, and the opening is meh. But then when they started rolling the credits and it said it was written by Adam Marcus,
right.
I got pissed off because Adam Marcus wrote Jason Goes to Hell.
Right.
And that movie was horrible and didn't make any sense. And every time there was a lapse in logic or there was a lapse in storytelling in the movie, I'm like, well, written by Adam Marcus, so...
Well, I hate, all these movies, these horror movies that don't live up to my standards or whatever. I sometimes... I hate to criticize them because I'm like, you know what? Even if I had a chance to be in that terrible horror movie, I would have done it.
Oh yeah, no. Here's the thing, no one sets out to make a horrible movie.
Yeah,
it's just sometimes it
Bad
just doesn't
execution.
work out.
Yeah,
and that's one of them. I mean, the trailers were cool for it. The posters were cool for it.
I had a hell of a time, but I think that bad horror movies are hilarious. Man.
So The Last Stand I really enjoyed again.
Cool.
It won't be in my top 10 obviously, but I had a lot of fun watching it. I got the 50th anniversary of Mary Poppins, and I love Mary Poppins. I love Disney movies, and Mary Poppins is one of Disney's best movies.
Weren't you saying something about her being beautiful or something on Facebook?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that's you.
I freaking love Julie Andrews is so hot in that movie. But what I love about that movie, and I finally understood after. Because that Saving Mr. Banks is coming out, and so, obviously, there's a great special feature on here. It's called Talking with Mr. Sherman, and the Sherman brothers are the ones who wrote the music for it and everything. And one of the brothers is still alive, and I didn't know if I wanted to watch that new special feature here because it's going to be a promotional thing. They're going to say, "Hey, go see Saving Mr. Banks in theaters." Yeah. But I started, and of course, it had that. But it was Jason Schwartzman and Bill Sherman. I forget his name. But he plays one of the Sherman brothers in the movie. And he's talking about...
Oh, Jason Schwartzman does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, why is Jason Schwartzman...
Yeah, so Jason Schwartzman is talking to Bill Sherman, and they're sitting down, and this man who I'm guessing is in his 80s, maybe close to 90, is just rattling off how he comes up with the ideas for songs. And Schwartzman is saying, yeah, you invited me to your house because I wanted to get in your mind frame. And I didn't know Jason Schwartzman, one, played the piano, and two, understood music theory. And what the Sherman brother was saying to him, he said, when I hear things, I hear it might be a lyric first, it might be the music first, but the most important thing is the tone.
Yeah.
And they have this great conversation about how he came up with the music for the movie, and he would sit down and he said, yeah, when I first had Chim Chimney, Chim Chimney, Chim Chim Chiree, he didn't like it because it sounded Russian. So it had like a Russian feel to it. He says, how am I gonna make this sound like an English song? He says, well, on the fourth chord I changed the pitch of the piano, So it's dun 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 instead of dun dun dun. It was really it was crazy, and he would just pull out the piano and just start playing all these songs, and he would sing them verbatim, and it's such a great special feature. But back to Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins on Blu-ray is fantastic. It's beautiful. The movie is so well done. It's I don't know what else to say about a movie that's all-time classic that you have to get, and it's definitely worth the investment to get it on Blu-ray. I think it's only $24 on Blu-ray, and you won't be sorry. It looks great, and especially that Chim Chim Cheree when they're doing Step in Time, and it's a 14-minute dance sequence with all these guys doing these crazy dances, and the songs are wonderful, and there's a great special feature on there that was on, I think it was on the 40th anniversary DVD because I had it, where the same Sherman brother, I think it's Bill Sherman, sits down with Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, and he tells stories again about the making of Mary Poppins, and they kind of got into how hard it was for them to get P.L. Travers to sign on, which of course is the name of the story behind Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
And he said what got Walt Disney behind the Sherman Brothers as the writers of the music was, I don't know if you remember this Bird Lady song, that Toppins, beautiful song, and Walt Disney says, that's it, that's the song, and you guys can finish this movie, writing this song. It's fantastic. And then I forgot that Banks was the name of the dad in the movie, and there's a little teaser, and the reason she didn't want Walt to sign off on it, because he was trying to get it made for 20 years, is Walt thought it was about saving the children because the children are misbehaving, but it's actually about saving the father.
Yeah.
And when you look at it through those eyes, Mary Poppins totally changes, and it makes the endings that much more bittersweet. When the little her little umbrella is talking to her, and she says, the umbrella says, the kids didn't even say goodbye to you. They care more about their father. And she says, they do. And then she flies away, and it's wonderful.
That's awesome.
I love Mary Poppins. And the Blu-ray, again, is fantastic. So you should totally pick it up. It's worth it.
Cool.
I also started watching the 7th season of It's Always Sunny, which I've seen, but I forgot about the one where Frank does to Pretty Woman the horror he's banging.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Oh, man.
It's ridiculous.
And then she dies at the end, and they're just
dies.
like, what do? We could just drag her out into the hall.
Yeah, and that's what they do.
Oh, man.
And the last thing I watched this week, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was on sale, and I took a chance because I remember it kind of being funny, but I'm not a big fan of stoner movies. But I got Pineapple Express.
Oh, yeah.
Which is way funnier than I remember it being.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm not a stoner comedy guy either, but I think I saw that movie twice in theaters.
Yeah, it's just really funny, and Franco's really funny when he gets to be in those kind of movies.
Yeah.
Because, he takes himself seriously a lot.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think he's a very serious guy anytime you see him in, like, interviews and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's really fun to see him kind of cut loose and just be this idiot stoner. And, I mean, the part where Seth Rogen sees that dude get shot and he drives to Saul's apartment, who is James Franco, and he lets him in and he throws up all over his copy machine. And Franco's like, dude, you threw up over my copy machine. It's probably broken. While he's trying to explain why he just saw some guy get shot. It's really funny. So, yeah, rediscovering that movie was lots of fun. And, having Ken Jeong say, suck on my balls! and blow up that one to Gary Cole. It's great.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I watched this week.
Cool. I really only saw like one thing this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's bad because I still got movies to see before the end of the year. Stuff to check off. Have you started your top 10 list, by the way?
Vaguely.
Yeah, I started working on. It's at 26 right now.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, one movie that's not on that list is this week I got a chance to watch Only God Forgives, which is the movie with Ryan Gosling by Nicholas Winding Refn, who made Drive. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it's streaming. I forgot to bring it up because I didn't like it. So.
Yeah. Brad's the first one who saw it. He was the only one I knew saw it. Yeah, and so I watched it because, like, I was like, okay, I have to see this because it's Nicholas Winding Refn, and even though I haven't seen Pusher, like, I love Drive so much that I just thought, like, I really have to check this out. And it's not good. It's super weird, but it's gorgeous. Like, visually, I think it's really cool. But it's like, it's totally style over substance. It is that, like, the way he lights everything in that movie, because he's hardly moving the camera, because hardly anything happens. It's really just the way he lights everything in that movie that you're like, this is striking and cool. But the story is basically that, like, Ryan Gosling plays this sort of gangster person, and his brother, at the beginning of the movie, kills this young woman, and her father kills him, and Ryan Gosling shows up to kill him, and when he finds out why this guy killed his brother, he doesn't kill him. But his mother's in town, and she's a horrible person, and clearly loved his brother more than she loves him, and so she's like, no, you've got to kill this guy, and then there's also it's all set in Japan, I think.
No, I think it's Hong Kong, isn't it?
Maybe it's Hong Kong. Yeah.
Asian neon country.
Yeah. And then there's this, like, he's sort of a cop, but he's never in uniform. He's just like a detective, I guess. And basically he just shows up and cuts people's hands off, and that's the movie. Like, there's not much to it. It's a lot of very long scenes where maybe something happens. It's something that, like, if you want to see something weird from this year, it's on streaming. It's streaming everywhere because no one saw it. So you can, and it's less than an hour and a half long, so, like, you can easily throw it on and watch half of it, and you'll understand it just as much as if you watch the whole thing. It doesn't really go anywhere. The ending doesn't, like, do anything for you. There is, near the end, there is a pretty cool, like, just melee fight scene between Ryan Gosling and the cop guy. But the problem is that because he doesn't really set up any of these characters, you've got no dog in the fight. Like, you really are in no way invested in the movie. So even when it ends and characters sort of make choices, it doesn't come off as melancholy or deep. It doesn't feel like it's saying anything, because it never said anything to get there in the first place. So, certainly it's not a movie you should go out of your way to watch, unless you want to see something just weird. So anyway, I was as disappointed as I expected, because I had heard pretty much what I just said.
Yeah, like I said, I watched it, but I forgot I watched it.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I forgot to watch it, but I forgot to bring it up in our show that I watched it.
Because it is, like, it's hard to talk about.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where whatever.
I mean, I can't even say that Ryan Gosling is good, because, he's good in Drive because there is so much he's not saying. I feel like here he just doesn't have anything to say. Mm-hmm. And that's on paper, in a script, there's no difference there. But in a film where you're trying to tell a story, there's a huge difference there. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Hey, real news time.
Yeah.
It's real news!
Ryan, I'm going to ask you to explain something to me.
Okay, I'll try my best.
So, this week, Sony started talking about some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two big things. A, they talked about some Venom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make a Venom movie, which we've sort of known that for a while. But more curious, they said, okay, we're going to make Amazing Spider-Man 3, but they also said they're going to make a Sinister Six. What is that? What is that going to be?
It's one of those things where I don't understand. Here's the thing with why villains are cool in doses. Villains are really hard to get behind when you're subjected to watch them for a whole movie. Because, I mean, you can take the example of Heath Ledger's The Joker. Would the Joker be as effective if he was in The Dark Knight more? No way. because you don't want to see what he does behind the scenes. You only want to see him for those moments where he's being a bastard. So when you're making a movie predicated on the whole fact that you're going to be following villains around, I don't know. And I'm guessing, based on the Spider-Man 2 Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer, is they're going kind of the Ultimate Comics way, where Oscorp is behind building all these supervillains, because obviously in the trailer you see Doc Ock's tentacles, you see the Vulture's wings, and you already have the Green Goblin and Electro, and the Lizard, so that's 6 right there. I don't know how you can make it interesting.
I mean, if you made a movie where Spider-Man was fighting the Sinister Six, which is what we always sort of assumed that 3 was going to be, cool. But yeah, if there's no Spider-Man in it, what is it? Where is your
don't
story?
know, because I mean, the original story of the Sinister Six is Doc Ock got Mysterio, Kraven himself, Electro, the Chameleon, and Sandman together because they figured they couldn't beat Spider-Man by themselves. So they put him in this elaborate trap where he would fight each one of them individually. By the time he got to Doc Ock at the end, he couldn't beat Doc Ock because he was worn down by all these other villains. And they learned that Spider-Man, when he needs to, will destroy these villains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you could a story where it could be interesting.
The only thing I can think of that they could do in movies with villains is that you'd have to have a whole movie, and by the end, it would have to end bad. Mm-hmm. And then when the sequel would come out, then you'd have the hero triumph. That's the only way I could see them do it.
Yeah, and
doing a villain movie.
You'd probably have to have some sort of villain that's sympathetic.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be a villain. I mean, I guess Kurt Connors is that way. I mean, at the end of Amazing Spider-Man, he regretted what he did, but
a movie where they try to get Kurt Connors into the Sinister Six, and in the end he decides not to, and the Lizard fights the other 5, is not an interesting sounding movie to me.
No, I don't understand. I don't understand how they're going to pull. I mean, obviously when it comes out, I'll see it, but I don't understand how you pull it off.
Yeah, I think they might, with villain movies though, they might be trying to do like the only comparison I can kind of make is maybe like The Walking Dead. For a while, in that show, the evil person of that show was, it seemed like he was succeeding and getting, fulfilling his evil deed, but then in the end, it comes full circle and the hero triumphs in the end. So that's the only thing I see that they could do in a superhero movie, because I think people were kind of getting tired of the formula of it's kind of like wrestling. You beat the guy down, and all of a sudden at the end he has super strength, and then so I think they want to maybe they might maybe start showing villain movies where showing the villains actually triumph in some ways by maybe killing some of the people that they love, and then coming back in another sequel.
I mean, I'm almost certain that Gwen Stacy dies in this next Spider-Man movie. I've seen this is the bummer about sometimes trailers. Mm-hmm. I've seen little glimpses of stuff that's happening in the trailer that leads me to believe that, because Spidey is fighting the Goblin in some sort of clock where there's lots of gears happening. Mm-hmm. And there's a quick scene where Gwen Stacy is in it, and the Goblin flies by her, and she looks.
Right.
And then the next scene is Spider-Man jumping on this gear and shooting his webbing down.
Yeah.
So to me, it's playing on that, and that's fine. But then you have motivation for Spider-Man in the next movie.
Yeah.
When you don't have, I don't know. I think it's a big miscalculation sometimes on people's thought process that the villains are cool.
Yeah.
The villains are interesting, and they're only as good. But to me, and it may be because I love Spider-Man so much, but Spider-Man and Peter Parker is what makes that world work. It's not Norman Osborn, and Norman Osborn's an interesting character.
Right.
It's not Otto Octavius, because those guys are nothing without Peter Parker.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you remove him from the situation, I mean, what are they going to do? Sit around a table and be, one of the great episodes of the animated series Batman is they're all sitting around playing poker. Right. And they're all talking about how they almost got Batman.
Right.
But I mean, is that what they're going to do? They're going to all sit around a poker table and say, "Hey, I almost got him this time."
Right.
So,
and then the Venom one, again, people are in love with the idea of Venom. I don't like Venom, and you're talking to someone who loves Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. I don't like Venom the character. I don't think he's a cool character. I think he's really shallow. his original arc where he loses his job because of Spider-Man is great. Because he's delusional, and obviously Spider-Man's really not the reason he lost his job.
Right.
But for someone who has that vendetta against Spider-Man, that's interesting. Right. But as they started fleshing out the character, he became way less interesting. They tried to, because he became so popular, and again, I don't understand why.
He's visually cool.
He's visually
cool, yeah.
But when people still started really liking him, well, now they're tweaking his story where he's an anti-hero and he's not going to kill innocent people.
Yeah.
But he's going to kill Spider-Man, and in his eyes, Spider-Man is a guilty person, but Spider-Man's not an evil person. He's not.
Yeah.
So to me, the storyline doesn't make sense. Even people who hate Spider-Man 3, I still think Topher Grace, when he is in the church and he is saying, God, just kill Peter Parker. I mean, that's a great scene.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a great scene when, this symbiote engulfs him. I don't know how they pull that off in a movie. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing in this Spider-Man movie too, they're going to probably plant some seeds for Venom as well.
Well, same thing with Carnage. I mean,
but Carnage. The thing with this sounds stupid, but I forgive Carnage because he has motivation. His motivation is he's a psycho.
Right.
And he's stronger than Spider-Man. To me, that's interesting. He can only do so much. He's good for a couple issues. He's not a deep character. But for someone who's like Carnage, where he's just going to kill and indiscriminately, he doesn't care what happens. That's interesting, and he's stronger than Spider-Man. How is Spider-Man going to beat someone who's stronger than him and doesn't care what happens around him? He doesn't care if he kills his teammates. He doesn't care if he kills these kids. He doesn't care. That's an interesting story because Spider-Man not only has to stop him, he has to stop the damage he's going to cause.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Venom is, I don't know, whatever.
So here's what I think is actually going to happen, and you're not going to like this plan. I think that this is Sony really not knowing how to handle their PR, and wanting to have an Avengers movie. And I keep going back to that, but I think it is a sickness within the studios right now. What I actually think is going to happen is that Spider-Man Amazing 3 is maybe going to be about some kind of Venom, that it'll be a more Ultimate Spider-Man kind of Venom where it's actually like, it's not from space, it's something that was built by Oscorp. And then that what they're going to do is hint at a Sinister Six movie that will be really just what we've expected 3 to be, which is Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six, but that then they're also going to have a Venom movie where whoever will end up with the suit on at the end, with the Venom suit, and they will be somebody who is, something of an anti-hero, will have some weird backstory movie that try to make us like them, and then we'll come up and help Spider-Man in a Sinister Six movie.
I am not. That makes sense to me. I mean, I agree. I don't
like it, but like just looking at what Sony has on their plate, where they're desperately trying to make a huge franchise out of something that they only own one character. They can't get other superheroes in here. I mean, theoretically, maybe they could go. I mean, no, now they can't even get like Luke Cage or Iron Fist or any of those other ones because Marvel
Cat.
is. But even then, that's really just a villain that like
I agree.
is a sort of anti-hero kind of villain. I think this is them desperately trying to make, and especially if you take into account Andrew Garfield's comment about whatever they do beyond Amazing Spider-Man 3 has nothing to do with me because that's out of his contract. I'm really worried that Sony is coming in and trying to grow this into something that will be bad for the series again, considering they already did this on this series.
Again, and you're talking to somebody. I love Spider-Man. I love his mythos. I love his villains.
Yeah.
But trying to make a whole movie around a villain is so difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe the one villain that this could work, and you'd make it like an espionage spy thriller, is the Chameleon. The Chameleon's backstory is he is a Russian spy, and he would wear different disguises and disguise his voice to infiltrate and steal stuff.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool, but they're not going to do it because the Chameleon isn't a sexy character.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though I think he's a cool villain. But
they could make the Chameleon a lady. Then the Chameleon could be a sexy character. It could be Jamie Alexander. I don't know why I keep.
And I just want to say too, if IGN is listening to this, I watched the Rewind trailer for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and they keep on saying Oscorp. It's Oscorp. It's a corporation.
Get it right.
It's not a collection of army men.
Yes, it was driving me crazy when I was watching it.
Oh,
I think I
that's funny.
mentioned that last time Amazing Spider-Man came out.
Yeah.
And I said, and I mentioned on the podcast, I said, guys, it's Oscorp, right? It's not
Yeah.
Oscorp.
Yeah.
And
it's Osborne Corporation.
Yeah, I knew that, but I just wanted to double check before I put my foot in my mouth, and they did it again. I'm like, you guys are professional
Well,
journalists.
hey, I've seen them mess up a lot. So.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyways, what else we got?
All right, my favorite news of the week
I just saw you flip to.
is that Peter Berg. Now, the downside is that Peter Berg also has pretty much bowed out of there ever being a Friday Night Lights movie. But
They don't need one now.
No, I totally agree that I think that Friday Night Lights as a show was awesome as one thing and doesn't need to be touched. And where
The movie's not bad either.
Yeah, where they. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the movie very much. The show is. Oh man.
Yeah, we know about the show.
Yeah, I don't want them to go back and touch the Taylors. I like that. So, but one thing I do want him to return to is the Rundown.
Yes.
And he is making the Rundown too, which excites the hell out of me. Because that movie is silly. Downright silly, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun.
I love Christopher Walken when he's trying to explain the Tooth Fairy. Do you understand the concept of the Tooth Fairy? Great.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I can't wait. And they're reading that they have some partner lined up for The Rock.
Yeah.
Where they're saying, it's not going to be Sean William Scott. Well, it shouldn't be because his arc ended in the first one.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, part of why that movie works for me is sort of the chemistry between those guys.
Yeah.
But The Rock is pretty damn good. You
Yeah.
put him in with anybody, like...
Well, yeah, he'll have a new, comic sidekick.
Yeah, and it's been so long, the Rundown is not some huge movie where, it's not Rush Hour, where you really have to get those two characters back together. No, it's probably not even going to be called The Rundown 2. It's probably going to be called The Rundown,
or just Rundown.
Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Yeah, or just it's 2014 now. Everybody just puts subtitles on everything. So, anyway, we did get some word, just following the story that has been going on for a couple weeks now. That right now it seems like they're going to rewrite Fast and Furious 7, which means that hopefully they aren't going to have to throw out everything they've already done, which was a fear early on.
Yeah, and
that's good.
Like I said last week, I think what they need to do is have Dawn go to O'Connor's house, and O'Connor is basically will even say he's out or something. I don't think.
Yeah.
I hope they don't kill him in the movie.
Oh no, and like every word, every quote that we've had so far is pretty much them saying we want to be really respectful of this, and so I don't think they're going to kill him. I think that would be very uncouth.
This really seems like is this the first time that this has happened with as far as movies go, where there's an upcoming sequel and then
Actually, no. It happens very rarely when a star dies in the middle of making a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the most famous one is the Twilight Zone movie.
Oh yeah.
With
the helicopter blade.
The helicopter blade where it killed those kids. John Landis was charged with manslaughter in that, and taken to trial. And I mean, they still made that movie. And Spielberg refused to work with Landis after that.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating thing. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah.
Natalie Wood
a lot
died
of times. Oh yeah, Natalie Wood.
making a movie.
I don't remember what it was.
Think. Who? Heath Ledger in the imagination of Dr. Parnassus.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
that's a
one.
very apt one because that's one where he was really in the middle of making that movie and they just
The Crow. Yeah, the Crow.
Was that? Did he die during the
Yeah,
shoot?
I remember he got shot in the stomach.
Yeah, but I mean, they must
were
have been
almost
so
done
close. Yeah,
because, and two, they were able to get away with it. I think in that too because he had makeup on.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
they could sort of shoot.
put a
around
stunt
it.
double in.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a little more tricky.
And there are some of them like Gladiator comes to mind. Where
Oh yeah.
Oh shoot! Now I wish I could remember his name.
I don't remember either, but he was
Dang.
He was the gladiator trainer guy.
Yeah. And they basically CG'd together his scene, and then just shot around some things. But this is definitely one of the times, this one's definitely special.
Yeah.
Because this is a time when they don't have an option.
Yeah.
Where so much of they were so deep into filming so much of what was left was his stuff. They can't just shoot around it. They can't just complete it somehow. But they also can't just like start over. Or if they did, it would cost them so much money.
Right.
I definitely don't think that there's anything quite at this level.
Yeah.
Especially with this much money.
Yeah.
Which sounds horrible, but it's one of the reasons why they're trying to see what they can do.
Yeah. I mean, like I said last week, like how many people, and it sounds morbid to some degree, but how many people die, and as a result, there's like, I mean, we're talking about probably somewhere around $250 million that are at stake here. When you really talk about how much money is tied up in this thing, beyond the quote unquote production value, costs that we see, which are always smaller than what it actually takes to make a movie. Anyway, moving on. The very last two things I want to talk about is we got a couple of big trailers this week. It's that time of year where it's Christmas, people are seeing a lot of movies again, and so they're getting out the big summer blockbuster trailers. The first one we saw was Godzilla. Which I was telling you guys after the movie tonight, like when it first hit the internet, I was like, why is everybody talking about this? Like, it looks like a Godzilla movie. Like, this looks exactly like if I were gonna have a dream about a Godzilla trailer, this is what it would look like. But then, man, we saw it on the big screen tonight, and all right, I get it now. It's a pretty impressive.
Pretty cool. It looks cool. I still really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I guess because it's a teaser. They don't want to reveal too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks cool when they're, free falling and you see the spines of Godzilla and things like that.
I sent some posts on Facebook. I was like, I can't wait to see Godzuki.
Oh man, yeah. I liked your idea about this being a movie where, and I think you said you had heard it somewhere. Yeah. This was actually going to be a movie where like he fights other monsters. Yeah. Because I would love it if they don't try to have any kind of origin in here. Well, it's just like, no, man, Godzilla's back. Like, no big deal. Right. I would like that.
But like I said, it'll be a joke because on the old Godzilla movies, every time when he, they introduce the other monsters, there's always these long scenes of them, either roaring or pincing their pincers, and it'll make that clicking noise.
Yeah.
And hitting arms together.
Cool. So then the very last thing was we got to see a trailer for Interstellar, which is the next Christopher Nolan movie. And it does not look like what I expected. People talked about this so much.
There's no real story to it. It's Matthew McConaughey talking over stock footage of, the space program.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I fucking want to see this movie so bad now.
I know you do.
I had this emotional reaction to that trailer. Like, I'm a sucker for this shit. Like, this trailer is basically written to, pull on my heartstrings. But yeah, all that stuff and that speech about how great going to space is.
Yeah, it makes a tear come to your eye.
Man. Yeah, I was, especially, when they start talking about us giving up and not having space shuttles anymore, I was like, that's right! America, come on! So yeah, no, I'm really excited about that. It totally doesn't look like a Nolan movie though. Mm-mm. Like it does not look like
you get really
big action movie.
You get really excited when you see Sin Copy on the screen. Oh, it's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Even for like those Man of Steel trailers, like that something about that logo. It's cool. So anyway, that's news.
Hey, this is the box office numbers from last week.
This is the box office stats.
Frozen actually overtook the box office 27 million. Remember that right?
No, 31.
31 million. I think Hunger Games then was 27.
Yeah.
But 31 million. So yeah, Disney has a hit on it because the word of mouth is really good. I loved it. They could make an appearance again in Filmsplosion 2013 on my list.
It's funny because that means it actually popped up over... Because Hunger Games was number 1 last week.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny. So yeah, word of mouth is good. The funny one is Out of the Furnace coming in at 3 with like a nothing.
Yeah, like 5 million.
Yeah.
It's that week is crazy when you have 31, then 27, then 5.
Yeah. There's 2 big players.
I'm interested to see the box office results this week when you have 3 pretty big movies. I'm guessing The Hobbit's probably going to do about, I don't know, 75, 80 million, probably.
Yeah, it did 9 last night.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
For a 3-hour-long movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The midnight showings for a 3-hour movie are not.
So, yeah. Box Office Mojo. Thank you.
Cool.
And this is the stuff that's coming out on Blu-ray next week.
DVD releases and Blu-rays.
Oh. Something James has already pre-ordered.
Yeah, so the number one movie, according to Digital Bits this week, is One Direction, This Is Us.
Oh, yeah.
It's the DVD version, not even the Blu-ray.
It's a concert. So that sounds to me like a lot of moms are buying it for their kids.
Oh, totally. Oh, no, totally.
It's the One Direction band. That is a
yeah, they're like a
film.
British boy band.
Oh, okay.
Morgan Spurlock.
I think they're British.
They are.
Or some kind of colony of the Brits. Then after that is Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters, which I actually kind of wanted to see this one. Like, I never saw the first one, but I kind of wanted to check this out, and I didn't get a chance.
My niece thinks that Logan Lerman is cute.
Okay. The Lone Ranger comes out on Blu-ray this week, which surprised me because I forgot that it hadn't already come out on Blu-ray. Like,
still haven't seen that.
I haven't either. I was out of town when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I don't know.
I'll rent it. Oh man, my Blockbuster's closed.
Is it going to be a movie we talk about this year for Filmsplosion? Probably not.
What if I see it and I love it? You don't know.
Maybe. I'm just saying. Probably not.
I like Prince of Persia.
Pick that up.
Nice.
Oh man, Elysium is coming out on Blu-ray this week, which is definitely I'm definitely gonna check that one out or pick that one
for sure.
When I saw that trailer, I kept thinking I was like I kept thinking about Mega Man the whole time when I saw that. I was just
yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good movie.
I think so.
Maybe my favorite release this week, the Prisoners or just Prisoners is coming out.
I already
this week.
pre-ordered that.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh man,
that should be coming soon.
I didn't because it's one of those movies that like I'm not gonna watch it that often.
See,
like it's hard to watch, but I'm so excited to see it again. Like
I love the performances in it.
Yeah. Well, and I even said when I walked out of it, there's a lot of little things in that movie that I really want to go back and look at. Like all the tattoos on Jake Gyllenhaal. I just want to stare at Jake Gyllenhaal's tattoos. That sounds weird. No, they're all this symbolism that's all tattooed on them, and it's just interesting. I'd like to figure out what that's supposed to mean. But Kick-Ass 2, which I forgot was a movie, is coming out on Blu-ray.
It's not as bad as he says it is.
Yeah, I've never
No, it's not. It's just I just forgot. There's this game that we like to play this time of year where I'll go back and look at the list of all the movies that we went and saw this year, and find the ones that like we forget that was a movie from the that has just so gotten swept under the rug.
Right.
Like Jack the Giant Slayer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it feels like a billion years ago. I totally just skipped over. The Family comes out on DVD this week and Blu-ray, which was that movie that no one saw. The live version of The Sound of Music that Carrie Underwood made a couple weeks ago or last week.
I heard she's not good in it. I'll never see it. So.
Yeah, I think my mom said she was like okay.
Your mom actually watched it?
Yeah, my mom watched the whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I love you know how I feel about Julie Andrews.
Yeah,
and The Sound of Music is wonderful. So
I saw little snippets of it and thought that it was a pretty poorly produced piece of shit. So, because I don't understand doing that live that way, especially to do it with, and there have been a lot of people who have said this, but they did it with like half Broadway actors and then half like Carrie Underwood. And I'm sorry, but she is not of the caliber that you need for a Broadway musical. So anyway, let's move on to actually good stuff. Justified season 4 comes out on Blu-ray this week. So that's a must get. I'm really excited about that season. It's a good one. Family Guy Volume 12.
Pre-ordered.
So, there you go. Great. The complete series of Burn Notice. So the last season of Burn Notice, as well as a collection of that whole show. That was a fun show. Yeah, it was cool.
I can't believe I don't watch it because you know how much I love Bruce Campbell.
Oh yeah, you should definitely check out the first couple of seasons. At a certain point, I fell off just because it gets to be sort of diminishing returns. It's a USA show, so they're really creative for a couple of seasons, and then they just get into a rut and then spin their wheels until the show gets canceled. But it was really fun. I think my parents watched the whole last season. They enjoyed it. There's the 3rd season of Shameless comes out this week. And then for the little movies, there's a movie called Ain't Them Bodies Saints, which is a movie with Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara that I think is that Ben Foster's in this movie. Man, we do not get enough Ben Foster movies. Anyway, I heard really good things about this and have been waiting for it. It's been on, like, Amazon Instant has added on there, but when you go to it, it just says this movie is not available for watching it. And I'm like, then why is it on here? So you might check that out. There's a Jeremy Iron movie called Night Train to Lisbon, which I've never heard of before.
Oh, how I loathe guessing games.
And then here's the real meat and potatoes. There's a Steven Seagal movie called Force of Execution.
Nice.
And then there is a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Alien Uprising.
Oh,
so
fuck,
be
dude.
sure.
What is JCVD gonna do?
I think he's going to stop the alien uprising.
Nice.
Or maybe he's uprising against the aliens. Maybe it's in a dystopian future where aliens have taken over the planet. You know, that could be cool.
His GoDaddy commercials are weird.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him.
Did you see that commercial where he did the splits on those trucks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
He's done the
Did you
splits
see
a
the
lot.
Channing Tatum make fun of those? That was fun.
Yeah, no, that was really good. So yeah, you know, if you're at a Walmart and they've got Force of Execution with Steven Seagal and Ving Rhames and Danny Trejo in it for like $1.50, pick that up. That's everything that's coming up this week.
Awesome. Well, James, it's that time of the night where we tell people to dig out their long boxes and read a comic book.
Yeah.
What's up, nerds? It's the Comics Corner.
We went and saw a dwarf movie this week, so I'm going to talk about a book with some dwarves in it.
Okay.
There's a book called Skull Kickers out there, which the fun thing about Skull Kickers is this is a book where if you go to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics, they're going to have it on the wall in like the recent issues, you know, sometime in the last few weeks. There will have been an issue of it. You can just pick up any issue because, like, it's just fun. Basically, it's set in like this sort of fantasy / steampunk kind of world. Like, it's only steampunk enough that like they have guns and stuff, you know. So it's that kind of fantasy. But it's about a dwarf and a big guy, and those are their names. I'm pretty sure they are legitimately just called Dwarf and the Big Guy. And they are sort of like mercenaries, and they run around and get into trouble and stop bad guys and fight things. And but the thing about it that makes it special, you know, it's not just that there's this fun action and stuff like that, but it's got some really good humor in it. The two characters, I mean, some of it is just, you know, fart joking kind of humor. Yeah, exactly. But just like the sort of banter between those characters, it's just really fun. It's a light read. It's something that you can pick up, and you could give it to, you know, like a 12-year-old. Don't give it to kids too young. But you could give it to, you know, a preteen or teenager, and they would really enjoy it. It's just a really fun book, and there are always trades which you can pick up the trades at Coins Cards for 20% off. And there, you know, because there's an overarching story for most of the arcs, or for most of the, you know, trades. But it's not a big deal if you don't know what's going on. But then that story is kind of neat. So, you know, pick up a trade, and you'll really enjoy it. The other cool thing that they do, which is actually how I found out about this book, is that at the end of, like, every 6th issue, so at the end of every trade, they do an issue where they have a contest, and people submit in scripts, and they submit in sample artwork, and then they pair up writers with artists, and have, like, sort of this little anthology of, like, a few 6 to 8 page stories, you know, that are written by amateurs and drawn by people who aren't in the business. And they're just really cool. It's a neat little thing that you don't see very often, especially in like it's not a huge mainstream book, but it's out there. You know, it gets good press. So it's just a really neat little thing. It's something different that people ought to check out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
You're welcome.
Skull Kickers.
Skull Kickers.
Check it out.
Yeah.
This week, we went and saw The Hobbit, There and Back Again.
No.
Oh, that's the next one. We saw Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug.
Yep. Good pronunciation on Smaug.
Smaug.
Bree, should people go see The Desolation of Smaug?
Yes, I think people should go see The Desolation of Smaug. But I don't know how was this movie filmed? Because this looked different from the last Hobbit I watched. It didn't look like that same kind of cinematography.
Did you see it in high frame rate by any chance?
Yeah, I think that was the one we saw it in. So it did look different to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the high frame rate.
We only saw it in the 2D this year.
The high frame rates is going to be a lot brighter, and the people move weird.
Well, they move weird at first. You get used to it. Or at least I did.
You don't. You don't.
I'm seeing it in high frame rate 3D tomorrow, and I'm actually really excited about it.
But you have glasses.
yeah.
You got high frame rate already.
James, should people go see The Desolation of Smaug?
I mean, this is one of those things where, like, at this point, you either know if you like a Hobbit movie or not.
Right.
So I will say this: I think this movie is probably better than the last one. I really like where this story is going. It's I don't want to say too much in order to give away what does and doesn't happen in this movie.
You also say if they should see it, James, and then we can talk about it later.
all right,
you do this all the time.
So yeah, I absolutely think people ought to check this out. I think it's really cool. I think they do a much better job at developing these characters, even the new ones, than they did in the last one. So yeah.
I agree. I think this is actually a couple steps above the last one.
Cool.
Here's a trailer for The Hobbit 2.
Truly, the tales and songs fall utterly short of your enormity, O Smaug, the stupendous.
We are the dwarves of Erebor. We have come to reclaim our homeland.
I offer you my help.
Now that we know he won't betray us. We don't.
There is no king under the mountain, nor will there ever be.
It will not end here. With every victory, this evil will grow.
Legolas has grown very fond of you. Do not give him hope where there is none.
You have no right to enter that mountain.
I have the only right.
We've been blind. In our blindness, our enemy has returned.
I found something in the Goblin tunnels.
What did you find?
My courage.
Good. You'll need it.
Dragonfire and ruin.
That is what you will bring upon us. He cannot see beyond his own desire.
I will not risk this quest for the life of one burglar.
His name is Bilbo.
Thief. Where are you? Come now. Don't be shy. Step into the light.
So here's something I want to say about this movie, and it sort of reflects something I said last year when we reviewed the last one, which is that I still think that these movies are going to be difficult to review until we have all three of them. But even with this one, I think there are some really cool little scenes in here that sort of bring into focus what the first movie is really about. And really, especially early on when they're reintroducing you to this world, and they give you these really neat little moments where they sort of show you like, oh yeah, that last movie was really about developing this character and getting Bilbo to this place where he was going to get to do some really cool stuff. And this movie, I think, does a good job of actually improving the first movie. I don't mean improving on the first movie, but when you go back and watch the first movie, having seen this one, I think knowing more about these characters and knowing what the real purpose is of that early story and where it's going, will make you understand why they made some of the choices they do in that first act.
Yeah, to me, this movie is almost 3 hours long, but it moves faster.
Yeah.
It's kind of a breakneck speed. I think where this movie succeeds, where the first one, and I rewatched the first one recently, and I told you, and I actually appreciated the first one more. And maybe it's because I saw the extended cut, because it let the characters breathe a little more.
And there are important things, especially now saying this one, there's some important things in that extended cut. So if people have access to it, I think they ought to check it out.
You should, because I think it's only like $20 on Amazon right now, the extended cut.
And it's only like 20 minutes longer. It's not even huge. It's just...
And it's worth it. And so this one, it doesn't waste as much time, introducing all the dwarves and getting them to that point, because I actually think the first scene in the movie, you don't even have to be eagle-eyed to pick out Peter Jackson in it, but where Gandalf is talking to Thorin, I think might have worked better in the first Hobbit movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a great scene.
It's a great place to start the movie.
Yeah.
I think the only reason it's in the movies at all is because it's a really good place for us to start.
Yeah, but it gives more motivation to Thorin, I think.
Yeah.
Because in the last one, he kind of just shows up and he has this air about him, and this kind of gives him more substance. It works for this one too. I agree too, James. I think maybe when they're all three out, if you sit and watch them in a 9-hour period, I think you'll really, really appreciate the movies. But this one, it's the action is ramped up. There's great character moments in it. In fact, one of my favorite character moments is a scene that we're going to play for you right now. It's an interaction between Bilbo and Gandalf, and it's called "I Found Something in the Goblin Caves." And go ahead and listen to this scene.
You've changed, Bilbo Baggins. You're not the same hobbit as the one who left the Shire.
I was going to tell you. I found something in the Goblin tunnels.
Found what? What did you find?
My courage.
Good. Well, that's good. You need it.
Martin Freeman is so good as Bilbo.
Oh man!
I remember rewatching the first one, and I forgot his little nuanced performance and how well he conveyed being afraid, but then going back to the Hobbit courage.
Yeah.
It's in his face, and it's one of the things where you see him kind of withering away, but all of a sudden he comes back, and you understand why he's a hero.
One of my favorite moments in the appendices is where Sir Ian McKellen is talking about that, and he specifically says that he is extremely impressed with Martin Freeman just because Martin Freeman's one of the few actors he's ever met who can portray two emotions at the same time. Like with with just slight variations in his face. He does it a lot in that movie. And then like in the scene at the end of the it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie when they're at the end of the fight with all the spiders, which is creepy as hell. But when he fights like the trap spider that comes up, right? Because that scene is really about the fact that like he's starting to get really attached to the ring, and that like the trap spider has is above the ring, and so he just goes into this fury and kills the trap spider. And then the scene after that where he's got the ring and he goes from like this ecstasy and like blood rage of having killed this thing and getting the ring back to then getting like having this huge realization of what all he's done, and like he almost vomits in that scene. It's so cool. He is crazy impressive, man.
Yeah, too, this movie does a great job of raising the stakes. I mean, if you've read the book, you know the stakes already, but raising the stakes, but also being funny. Where the first one, I think sometimes the humor, they try to be too little slapsticky.
Yeah.
This one, and I'll get to, I think maybe one of the greatest action scenes of the year is Bilbo is trying to get the dwarves to escape in these barrels, and he releases them all down this river, and then he realizes that he's stuck in this area. And
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
Nothing is said, but
Yeah.
the way Martin Freeman plays it is so funny, and because you're with him, you're like, wait a minute, how's he gonna get out?
Yeah.
And it's too,
And because like it's a perfectly written scene because like at the same time you're sort of impressed that like Bilbo has pulled this whole thing off. Like he's freed them from the jail.
Yeah.
He had a plan to get them out of the building. He figured all this shit out, and then
the one person he forgot about was himself.
Yeah.
it's a really great scene. Like
The other scene that I thought was funny when Bilbo was going down to get the what's the thing called, the
the Arkenstone.
the Arkenstone.
Yeah.
I always think of the arc light
and
from
then
Iron Man.
So the one dwarf is talking to him, and then he's like, yeah, there's a dragon down there, and he basically says, yeah, there's a dragon down there, and he walks off. Because you saw him when he was just it's like
What's the name of that dwarf?
Balin.
Balin.
He's actually
great.
Oh, he's great. And for he's if you remember in the Fellowship of the Ring where they go to Moria and there's they find the tomb, that's Balin's tomb. So actually the funny dwarf, like the dumb one that always has the slingshot, he's the one who's writing the book that they end up picking up. So like he's the other skeleton that's there.
The only thing about the dwarfs though is I just feel like there's a lot of dwarfs in there that you really get to know, but there's a couple of dwarves on the little expedition team that you never really get to know. And you see them in scenes, and they don't really say anything. I mean, there's the ones that you notice, in battle, and there's ones that have a lot of interaction with, like the guy that had all the weaponry. But there's a couple of dwarves on the team that you're just like, because I always find myself trying to count how many people are in the party.
Still 13 of them?
Yeah. That's sort of what I was saying about like how these sequels are going to affect the earlier films. For one thing, with that in mind, it's another reason why the extended cuts are really good, because I think, especially with the first one, you get to know some of those other dwarves so much more. Like, and you're right here, like Biffer, who's the one that has the axe in his head, almost never has a scene.
Right.
Bomber has a really cool, way over the top, but pretty damn fun action scene where he's in the barrel and rolls. It goes on so fucking long, and it's way over the top.
I think
silly,
it's on purpose though.
But
exactly.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. A lot of them don't have a lot to do here. But like Philly and Killy, who had very little to do in the last one, the younger ones have like a huge subplot here. And that will probably be true of some of the other dwarfs in the next one. And so when it's all said and done, I think you're going to go back and watch all three of these movies. And when you see Philly and Killy in the first one, you're going to like them so much more because you know the story that they go through and really more of who they are in relation to Thorin because of what you know from the second one.
Well, every time I see Keely, I'm like, why does he look? He doesn't look like a dwarf.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
And I'm always
he's the only one without any makeup.
I'm always asked, I asked my friends that question, and they were kind of like, like it was a secret something, but I'm like, no, explain to me why he doesn't.
They in the appendices they talk about like the creation of those dwarves and how they separated them all out. And he was just one where like honestly, he's just so damn pretty.
Yeah.
Like that actor that when they cast him, they were just like, he's just pretty, and if we put stuff on him, these two young dwarves that we have that we want to be attractive young dwarves, they don't look as attractive when you put makeup on them. So it's as simple as that. That like, they just look,
And guys, that barrel scene is amazing, though.
It's great.
People were worried about Legolas and Tyrell in it.
Yeah.
But I actually think when Legolas shows up, he's kind of an awesome reminder of how great the first ones are, and he has some pretty badass moments.
Right.
And even they created the Tyrell character, Teriel or whatever.
Teriel,
whatever her name is. But she's pretty good in it too.
Yeah.
And she fits right in. If I had one gripe about the movie is I think sometimes to make the elf moves cool is you can totally tell it's CG character models, which I just wish it gets distracting sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and sometimes I don't understand why they have to do it when they do close-ups of Andrew Orlando Bloom, and he's really doing stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why they have to have CG guy of him like sliding underneath a sword, and that's always distracting
I
to me.
think they throw the CG really gets thrown in there because they're interacting with CG. If they're interacting with other
that makes sense too.
Other live actors, it would have a different look. But when they're interacting with CG enemies, like the orcs,
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue too with the first one. Is I think the orcs in the Lord of the Rings are badass.
Yeah.
But in this, they make them all CG, and you're like, why?
That's actually where I was going to go. Where I was going to say my biggest gripe with this movie, and I think there is some bad CG later during the dragon scene, and I don't even know if it's bad, if it's bad so much as just like liquid CG gold does not look that real.
Right.
But but that is in some ways just a product of how hard that property is to make in CG. But I can forgive all of that because it's all environmental shit. But yeah, the fact that they have gone so far away from the practical orcs, I think is wildly detrimental. And it is this. I think that one of the most amazing, badass sequences in the entire first trilogy is the fight at the end of the first one between Aragorn and and that first Uruk-hai.
Right.
It's all practical, and it's badass. It's just, regular old melee. It's not over-the-top crazy action. And when Legolas went to fight that one orc, like the gnarly one at the end, I was like, holy shit, you are totally calling back to that. Like, and it's a cool, hand-to-hand fight, but there's just enough CG in it that it takes that edge off. And it just doesn't feel quite as gritty, Not just that that orc is CG, but like, slamming his head into the wood pillar and that being clearly CG, stuff like that.
Right.
That it just, you go back to that fight at the end of Fellowship. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite sword fights in films. And I think a big part of that is just because that Uruk-hai is all practical.
Yeah. With Legolas, fighting with that orc though, what I found was weird that one time is when you see the orc, if you look at his armor, it looks like he has saw blades coming out of his out of his rib cage basically, and then he has Legolas in the bear hug, and then at the end you see him wiping his nose. I'm like, you just had saw blades in your back, what? It's just like what? I expected him to have, when he got into that whole thing, he'd reach back and he had some blood on his back or something. That would have made more sense, but he was like reaching for his nose, and I was like,
and the CG goblins in the last one, because they're so inhuman, like I sort of forgave it, and he even addresses it in the appendices where he says like they went to great lengths to make those characters all actually animatronic, and there are those scenes with the goblins are people in these suits,
right?
But they just ended up not quite working. They just never quite looked real, and so then they sort of CG'd on top of that, and so there's a lot of practical stuff there,
right?
But there's just enough CG that you think it's all CG. And it could be that that's true here too, that all those orcs have practical stuff underneath them, but it doesn't matter because none of them I feel are as cool as like go back to the two towers, and there's that one, the
What's
one
the one that has like the white hand on his face? He's like
that one. Or even the ones like in the scenes where with when Merry and Pippin are being taken away, right? Yeah. Like all those orcs, like the one that chases him in the woods, or the one that's like wants to slice him up and his teeth are all nasty. Right. Like those are all so cool and so memorable. And they are seemingly entirely practical.
Right.
And I really think that's the one thing that, like, if I could change for this whole series, I would change that and say, like, you've got to spend more time and more effort on making those orcs always practical, because they're just more memorable that way. That's a huge thing.
The film, and also one time that I think it looked like kind of like the film messed up though was when. Also, the water scene when they were going in the barrels, it kind of looked like that was actually filmed like from a raft.
Yeah.
And
they used like actual underwater camera shots, and that like the quality of the picture didn't look the same as the shots, even the real shots above the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a weird.
Yeah,
I noticed
it was a weird style choice. I don't know if they're trying to make it look real. Yeah, and we haven't even talked about Smaug. I think he looks really cool. I think he's a cool dragon. But you're right. There's a shot where he's coming behind when he first awakens behind Bilbo, and you can Bilbo doesn't look good in the shot. You can see lines around him.
Yeah, the composites in Lord of the Rings have never been.
I know that's
good.
That's one thing. My biggest issue with the Lord of the Rings movies and the Fellowship is anytime they're running across a bridge and it's CGI models, they look so fake.
Yeah,
but I mean,
which now and in these it's a little unfair because there's actually. I learned these again in the appendices, but there's a lot more composite stuff because of them doing 3D. They couldn't do the sort of trickery where you put Gandalf closer to the camera. They couldn't do any of that because with 3D you see the depth. So actually, pretty much any time Gandalf is on screen, he's composited in, and when you realize that, man, he looks. Those composite shots look great. Yeah, they look great.
But I mean, this movie still looks amazing.
When Thorin is on that. In that boat, and he's going down the Gold River. Oh my gosh, it's one of the worst shots in the movie. It's abrasively horrible to look at. Yeah. But yeah, no.
Yeah, Smaug is. I mean, he's really cool. And, and I that scene with Bilbo rivals the Gollum scene.
Yeah,
it's not quite as.
It's very similar.
It's not quite as good because I think Gollum is obviously one of the best characters in it, and how Andy Serkis plays it, but. It's two different characters because Smaug has to be intimidating and
he's just badass.
Yeah, and just how he's talking to Bilbo and again that's where Martin Freeman's so good is he has you see the courage in him and he's a little hobbit and he's standing up to a 200-foot tall dragon and it's pretty awesome and I love how he breathed fire and his scales would light up.
And they even got in. It's in the books. And I had forgotten about this, so my brother mentioned it a couple weeks ago. It's even in the books that when you see him, when he's walking over them and stuff like that, that he's been sleeping in gold and jewels for so long that they're embedded in his skin. Yeah. It's just so cool because when he picks up, there's just this little glint in him, and it's just man, he looks awesome.
One thing I remember about the books, I don't know if you read it, but I remember he got in the whole riddle thing with Gollum, but didn't he get into some riddle things too to basically bide his time with Smaug?
I think that might be there. There's even a line where when he's giving Smaug his names, he even makes one of them something about riddles.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where if they had done another riddle scene, you'd be like, really? You're gonna do this same freaking scene again?
Yeah.
It works in a book, especially at the end of a book,
right?
When you're sort of calling back to this skill that Bilbo picked up,
right?
Where it wouldn't necessarily work in a film.
Yeah.
Because conversely, so spoilers, I was wrong. They don't kill Smaug in this book in this one,
right?
Which I'm actually kind of happy about that because. I think I expected that and wanted that because I thought it would make for a really good middle film, but because we have, it would also make for a really difficult and maybe not interesting third film,
right?
And this one's really good, so
yeah, I think I was going to get to that point right now. I think too that's where this film succeeds. Where the first film it just kind of ends. They say, well, there's the mountain. Okay, we're going to go there.
Yeah, it ends with that fight with the White Orc, which is just not...
Right.
There's not enough at stake. It doesn't have enough to do with the main story.
This is a cliffhanger, and it pisses you off because you want to see the ending. Because it's even in the trailer. The last line in the movie is in the trailer, and where he says, "Oh my God, what have we done?"
Yeah.
And it fucking ends, and you're like, "No!"
Yeah.
Because Sauron makes an appearance.
Hmm?
I don't know if that's spoilers, but
no.
I mean,
we're into that part of the show.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you know the story of Lord of the Rings and stuff,
right?
You know
what I mean.
It's one of those things that they've added a lot more of. Than was in the book.
Because obviously, what it seems like they're doing, I guess the first half is they're going to take down Smaug, and then the second half is going to be a huge war.
Yeah, which is the same as the book. It's what you would expect from the book. It's just that some of the motivations will be different.
And
so.
I'm not a big fan of The Hobbit, the books, and I'm not a big fan of Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah.
But watching the movies, it makes me want to read them because
Right.
I want to go and read the appendices in the books to see where they're pulling the information from, and because now I'm a little fascinated by it.
Yeah. So, some of the stuff is from appendices, less so with these. The really cool stuff, like in Lord of the Rings, that's from appendices, is stuff like the whole Arwen and Aragorn story is tiny and footnotes, and they fleshed it out with stuff that they took from the appendices and just all this, and really made this really cool story. But a lot of times when they add stuff, it's because especially in The Hobbit, he gives almost nothing about these dwarves. Like, you really learn nothing about anybody but Thorin. So they all sort of look the same, and so I think a lot of the stuff that they've been writing in, and like I love the scene where with Thorin making Kili stay behind, and then Philly like being pissed and saying he's going to stay too, and seeing that that line where he's like, "You're going to be king someday," like that little scene is something that they've totally just made up, but it's cool, and I think it fits thematically. When they make up stuff, it's usually stuff that fits thematically with what's going on.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I was reading an interview in an Entertainment Weekly because they had a huge article about this movie, and they interviewed a Tolkien historian. Yeah. And he said he thinks that Tolkien would be okay with it because how he would constantly add to his stories. Yeah. He said that he would expect Tolkien actually to be flattered that they would take his ideas and kind of put them on this huge screen and say, hey, your world is so rich that we can add characters to it and make it fit into your world. Yeah. And I tend to agree with that assertion that I don't.
It's one of those things that some fans are going to walk out of this and be like, they added this stuff but they didn't put this in there. Well, it's a movie. Yeah. And one of the reasons why these movies are as good as they are, and why I'm so glad that Peter Jackson is in charge of these, is because he really takes care with that and walks that line very well between making a good movie and being respectful of the original material.
And a lot of this stuff, at least like with these movies, it does make you want to go back and read the books. It does add layers to the characters. It just it just makes the whole experience better.
Yeah, because he's not disrespecting any characters at all. And
even the things that he's done that really pissed me off. I talked about this back when we saw Catching Fire, and your niece was so pissed off about it when it was over that when I walked out of the Two Towers the first time, I was 14, 15, something like that. Is that even possible? No, I must have been older than that, 16, 17. I walked out of that movie and I was pissed. Because Faramir took the ring, he made the wrong choice, and I was like, no. In the book, he is there to sort of vindicate humanity and say no, there is some hope left for man. And now I look back at it, and especially when you watch the director's cut and all the stuff with him and his father, I realize they were telling a really cool, interesting story and making that character so much deeper by the things they changed. You just have to sort of put your fan stuff aside and step back and go okay, what story are they going to tell me? And the one they're telling is really cool.
Yeah, as far as the whole with his the scales and the arrow thing, I don't even remember that in the book. I remember him having the flaw in his armor, but I didn't remember hearing about the attempts of trying to take Smaug down.
It's actually one of the things that I'm really glad about this movie is that in the book it's spoilers. It's as simple as, maybe I won't. Well, no, Ryan, you read the book.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's as simple as they wake up the dragon, he talks to the dragon gets pissed, flies out to the city, maybe lights some stuff on fire, and then Bard shoots it with an arrow and it's dead. And that's way too easy.
Yeah, right.
It's a freaking dragon. We want some cool stuff. And so I'm really kind of glad that they added in this whole section where the dwarves are lighting, building the forge up again and really trying to fight it so that the dwarves feel like they have a part in defeating the dragon. Right. That it's not just some arbitrary thing. because otherwise it makes them spectators.
Right.
Otherwise, Bilbo goes in, wakes up the dragon, talks to the dragon, makes the dragon go away so they can have their town back, and then some other human dude kills the dragon.
Right.
Like, what's the point of the dwarves even being there? So it's really cool, you know. I will say, I think the payoff for that sequence is cheesy as hell. Like, the giant gold man.
No, well, you know what?
I just didn't buy it.
This is when they showed that scene. All I could think of was like taking the wrapper off of Hershey's Kiss, and then like milk chocolate flying out at you at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
it just didn't make it that. Yeah, that portion of it right there.
I don't know why it wasn't just as simple as like they got him into a room where then they opened some doors and dumped gold on him. Like, that whole, you know, where did they suddenly get this mold of this dwarf and then get it to cool just enough? Like, it just doesn't land right.
That was
and not. It's really a shame because I think like the idea of, like I said, the whole idea of them having a chance to fight this dragon and really make an impact on him, and you know, it just
to make it better, it will be similar to that scene that was in the Aliens movie. Remember when it was with the guy Rock Emerson or whatever, and they were leading the alien into that area where they dumped that hot lead or whatever, and that would have made more sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, too, I think by doing that little bit though, I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but it makes those stakes so much more higher when, you know, Smaug goes, "Oh, you care about these people? Well, fuck you! I'm going to kill them."
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, you know, and two, his last line was, "I am fire, I am death."
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
No, Smaug is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think, it's really cool. You never hear Benedict Cumberbatch. It's not. He's doing a great job at just making a badass sounding voice. It is just that one touch. It's just the giant gold man that just doesn't quite hit for me, and it's just a shame.
The whole entire time when Bilbo was talking to the dragon, I'm sitting there thinking the whole time I'd put that ring on and it would just been me running. The whole scene. There would be no talk. As soon as I knew I was invisible enough, I'd be trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. It's cool, man.
Cool. So go see The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Next week, we're seeing Anchorman 2, at least.
Yeah. We're going to see some stuff next week.
Yeah. Anchorman 2 will be the big one for sure. Bree, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again.
That's cool.
Oh, anytime. Until next week. Bye.
Bye. Oh, wait. Sorry. One last thing.
Oh, fuck.
No. No, this is a big deal.
Not a big deal.
No, it's still only a couple weeks until our film explosion.
That's right.
Yeah. Send in your number one picks for movies, or send in a top 5 or top 10 list. We're going to have some really cool stuff to give away. Some really, really, really cool stuff to give away. Plus, we'll read them and talk about them on the air, and it'll be really fun. It's
That's
always
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's always a really fun little celebration of 2013. So
cool.
Be sure to be here and check
Film
it out.
Explosion 2013.
Yeah. Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
See it.
Visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com. You can tweet us at real_nerds. You can email us even, realnerds@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Hey, stream us on Stitcher. You want to call us? 720-6nerds5. And download us on iTunes. Just search Real Nerds. Thank you, Joe Kempter, for the wonderful voiceover. And also Spark Mandrill for the wonderful late-night jazz smooth sounds of movies. You can find them on SoundCloud. This has been a Nebulous Visions production.
Test 1, 2. I was somewhere in Mordor trying to make it to Ryan's house, and I was losing all my memory. Test 1.
You know how you get distracted on Amazon?
Especially during the holidays.
Yes.
Think about Christmas presents you're going to get on Amazon, all the stuff you're going to buy for yourself.
Yeah. Take out some of your.
I ended up buying a Kindle Fire HDX a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah, how is it?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's sleeker than the other one. Went back and started watching The Walking Dead again. Not starting from season 1, but season 2.
Yeah.
And actually watching it again, there's different parts I didn't pick up on the first time around. So I think I'm going to watch the whole series of The Walking Dead again. And I want to find a way to get those black and white episodes that they said that played on TV.
Don't think those are available streaming.
Yeah.
They're definitely not available streaming.
I have the collector's edition of the first season. And it has the pilot on black and white.
Okay, cool.
I can lend you a trick
Yeah.
that Brad taught us, because he took the time to watch all of the Dark Knight trilogy in black and white,
Right.
simply by turning the color down on his TV.
Okay.
So you could try that.
All right.
It won't look quite as good,
Right.
but it'll certainly be black and white.
Yeah. I know there was a time, I forgot, it was during Halloween or whatever, when they were showing The Walking Dead in black and white.
They did. I mean, there might be a time when they release them all, you
Yeah.
know.
I think there's only, because isn't there only the first one that's in black and white on the discs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't even aware of the web episodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never really watched those.
Because I have the special edition of season 2, but I don't have any of the other seasons. But the web episodes are on there, and I haven't caught all of them, but I watched most of the ones of season 2.
It's a real shame. I think I have. I have all 3 seasons of that on Blu-ray.
Right.
I don't think I've actually watched them.
Right.
I don't think I've ever actually touched those discs, and it's really a shame because I think I would benefit as a viewer of that show from having seen those first couple seasons a second time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, we're ready to go here, Ryan.
All
Whenever
right,
you're
cool.
ready to go.